taking everything away from us. You know, I'd like to see at least one tank still intact when I get out there.
This is one of the units that could lead the charge against the Iraqis. Many here say they're long past their fear of combat and simply tired of waiting. Bob Franken, CNN, at the northern Saudi Arabian border.
Now to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. military briefing.
On battlefield preparation, the Republican Guard, and we restrike selected strategic targets. We continue our 24-hour operations. Today we had, or during the last 24 hours, we had over 2,800 sorties for a total of 67,000 sorties to date. We continue to strike targets throughout the area of operations to include missile propellant plants, storage facilities, airfields, and command and control facilities. There have been no friendly combat losses to report in the last 24 hours, and to date the total remains 25 coalition aircraft have been lost. AAA and SAM activity remains a threat, but as I've mentioned on previous occasions, it continues to be isolated, and we feel strongly that there is no integrated air defense established by the Iraqi forces. Enemy aircraft losses remain at 36 fixed wing and 4 helicopters. Initial pilot report that we've received during the last 24 hours is that 4 Iraqi transports have been destroyed on the ground today, 2 in northern Iraq and 2 in Kuwait. I don't have a clear picture of exactly what type of transports these are, but I'll give you further update as the information becomes available. There have been no incidents of aircraft flying to Iran during this last 24 hours. In the Kuwaiti theater of operations, today we flew over 700 sorties. We continue to interdict his lines of communication, to attack his road, bridges, railways as we attempt to further isolate the KTO. There have been 200 sorties flown against the Republican Guards during this past 24 hours. There has been no Scud activity last night, as you know. We continue a very aggressive counter-Scud campaign, flying over 170 sorties against Scud and Scud-related targets during this 24-hour period. F-15s attacked a possible Scud launcher, TEL I should say. There is no BDA available on that particular strike. F-16s again last night attacked another possible Scud. There was a significant explosion following that attack, and we assessed that probably a Scud and the related TEL were destroyed. To date, that brings 62 Scuds having been fired, seeing there were none fired last night. On the ground side, coalition forces continue to exchange periodic and sporadic fire across the border, throughout the border area. We continue to have aggressive patrolling and reconnaissance and counter-reconnaissance efforts along the border by U.S. forces and coalition forces. Our ground forces continue a high level of aggressive training in preparation for any contingency. There's been some report of oil fires. Has been reported by several news agencies. There are approximately 50 fires burning throughout Kuwait and the southern Iraq, and that varies between 40 and 50. Most significantly right now, as far as we can report, Al Wafra area has probably the most significant burning oil fires. There were 5 oil wells that were lit off by Iraqi forces during this past week in the Al Wafra area. We believe that this is an integral part of the Iraqi war-fighting strategy, whereby they are periodically lighting off wells to try to cloud the battlefield as to mask their movements. On EPWs, we had a total of 8 turn themselves into U.S. forces during this last 24-hour period. There were 2 groups of 1 of 3 and 1 of 5, and they were unarmed and were carrying no equipment. We still have not received any information on U.S. Missing in action, and we continue to query the International Commission of the Red Cross to see if they can provide us hard information from the Iraqi folks. On the naval side, our naval forces continue to participate in the air campaign to conduct counter-mine operations and to continue to enforce the maritime interception operations. NAVCENT reported, the naval component of CENTCOM reported during this last 24-hour period that they destroyed a Super Freelon helicopter at Al Faw. It was on the ground. As you know, a Super Freelon helicopter has the capability of shooting or carrying 2 Exocet missiles, which have a range of about 50 nautical miles. So obviously they are very much a concern of the naval forces because of that capability. That concludes my prepared remarks this evening, but I think I would be remiss if I didn't comment on the bunker strike that has had so much play over this past morning. I'm here to tell you that it was a military bunker. It was a command and control facility. It's one of many that has been used by the Iraqi government throughout this operation. We have been systematically attacking these bunkers since the beginning of the campaign. Within the last 2 weeks, this particular bunker became even more active as a command and control facility. It's a hardened shelter. It was just recently, the roof was just recently painted with a camouflage pattern to further try to keep it out of the aviation vision. We have no explanation at this time, really, why there were civilians in this bunker. And now I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
General, on
yes,
that
sir.
score, is it at least conceivable that as part of Saddam's war-fighting strategy, he purposely puts women and children in command and control structures, having heard the command here, General Schwarzkopf, say that we will not attack civilian targets? Is that something that strikes you as plausible?
Obviously, sir, that is very plausible explanation. I don't have hard evidence to that effect. I still, my last comment on the bunker was, we don't understand why civilians were in this military command and control bunker at 0400 in the morning. It belies logic. Yes, sir.
Isn't it entirely conceivable that you made a mistake and that it was indeed a civilian bunker? That seems to be the tenor of all the reports we're getting from Baghdad.
I can't comment on the reports you're receiving from Baghdad, but no, we don't feel like we attacked the wrong bunker or that we made a mistake. As I have told you on previous occasions, we have been very scrupulous in our targeting effort, and we feel very comfortable that, in fact, the target that was targeted was a legitimate target, and in fact, the young pilots that were flying those aircraft hit the target as they were targeted. Yes, Skip.
General, maybe about a week or 10 days ago, we were told that should a tank or a plane park itself in a civilian area, it would not be targeted for fear of collateral damage to surrounding civilians. Shall we assume that if the Allied forces had known that there were civilians in this command and control bunker, that it would not have been the target?
That's absolutely correct. If we thought that, in fact, there were civilians... I'm getting you all set? Okay. You all set? The question was if in fact there were civilians in the, if it was prior knowledge that we knew that civilians were in the area, would we have attacked it even though we knew it was a command and control bunker? And right now I'd say absolutely no, we would not attack that bunker. And I would further elaborate. You know, if we have given and spoke to you on many occasions that in fact a lot of the Iraqi command and control functions, a lot of their leadership elements have moved into residential areas because they know that we have been scrupulously avoiding attacking residential areas because we don't want to bring civilian casualties. I would put out as a warning, I think that civilians are much safer if they stay in the residential areas because we're not attacking residential areas. It's not the intent of the United States or the coalition forces to have any civilian casualties. We have fully acknowledged that collateral damage does occur because military targets are co-located in very close proximity to those. But I think that answers your question best. Yes, sir, back in the rear.
Has this been on your some particular bunker? And are there others like this? Is this one of a dozen or is this one like this right in the heart of Baghdad?
Well, for obvious reasons, I can't tell you, how many bunkers or what, but I can tell you that this was on the active target list. And has been for some time, that's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Shouldn't this be an indication that it's getting harder and harder for you to distinguish in Baghdad between what could potentially become a civilian target and what is a military target, and maybe time just to lay off Baghdad for that reason?
I don't think we have any problem. I think I'm addressing your question. I don't think we have any problem distinguishing what we consider valid military targets. If it is the strategy of the Iraqis to start putting civilians into these military targets, as it is already apparently their strategy to put their equipment and their headquarters in civilian areas, residential areas, then obviously there are some problems with that. I question that strategy on the part of the Iraqi leadership, and I think he should be held accountable for any casualties that may have occurred if in fact they did occur. Yeah, Rich?
What was this bunker used for in the past? You say it's been on the target list. Was it used as a bunker for military personnel? If so, why didn't you hit it before? What was this thing used for before the attack today?
Rich, as I mentioned in my preliminary remarks, it became an active command and control bunker. We knew it was a military target, a military bunker, during the workup to the actual execution of the air campaign. But we haven't really seen any activity out of this bunker until the last 2 or 3 weeks. And all of a sudden it seemed like perhaps as a result, and I'm just guessing on my part, as a result of our active bunker busting campaign, they have moved their activities. And in the last 2 weeks, this one became a secure communications, command and communications facility. And so it was added to the target list as a result of this analysis and assessment by our J2 folks. Yes, sir.
Could you explain, one of the things that we've had over the last few weeks is that you've been unable to give us quick battle damage assessments,